Yeah.
Huh?
Very good night. I slept early, and we should wake up at 5.
Yeah.
So I've been up now for the last 2 hours.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So this is your.
This is my gym.
This is gym.
Yes. And you can see here, there are pictures also which I can show you. This is Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
You can see.
Can you do that one? Try.
Usain Bolt posture.
He does.
That's the most.
Have you met him?
Of course, I came here. He gave me himself.
Oh.
Yes.
Nice.
I remember I took him around. I'm going to show you the other side.
Yeah.
What we call Mauriama.
Yeah.
At the national park,
okay.
Where you adopt an animal. And we had him adopt a cheetah.
A cheetah.
You see, there's a picture of him and the cheetah. The fastest man on earth is the fastest animal.
It cannot work any better. So you sometimes come here.
Yes. And this is a cycle. I use a lot.
Yeah.
I cycle here.
Right. So you usually come here at about what time?
5.
5.
And in the morning, I usually just do half an hour. Okay. Just for my circulation. Yes. And that's all I do, because otherwise in the afternoons, in the evenings I do gyms either in town. Sometimes I go to Serena. Okay. Nairobi Club. The Town Plaza. Or my club here, Karen. Yeah. I work out twice a day. Twice a day. That's good. Yeah. Morning and evening. Morning and evening, yes. This is my treadmill. Right. I just start. Okay. So yeah, this is the speed that you like. There we go. And start running. Do you ever have some music on? Yeah. Good. This is way to you can increase the elevation. Yes. Yeah, that does the incline. Yeah. Okay. And sometimes you'll just walk. Yeah, the roads are usually walk. Yeah. Just walk. But sometimes you want to run. It's good for cardio. It's good for cardio. It's very good cardio. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that I can imagine. When you do that, it's like you're going up the hill. Up the hill. Yes. It's very good for getting the system to open up. Yes, exactly. Okay. Yes, to get the system. Okay. All right, that's good. Yes, this is and right. Because it's an Arsenal hero. You were a team Arsenal. Yeah, of course. That right was the top scorer in Arsenal in the 90s. And you can see that picture. He had just scored the 179th goal. Yeah. He was really a hero that time. But then Thierry Henry, who came later and surpassed his record in terms of scoring. So both him and Henry are real heroes at Arsenal. Okay. I see here. It's Thika Highway. Right. It's a highway. This was my brainchild when I was Minister for Roads. We first decided to decongest the traffic in the city and conceive this road network. Thika Highway to Thika, to make it easy for people to leave the town and go to Thika. Yeah. People can live in Thika and commute into town. So you say it's your brainchild. However, we see very many people who credit Kibaki for all of this work. In terms of the infrastructure, they say Kibaki, Kibaki, Kibaki. Does that offend you? But this time I was not confident. Yeah. First, this started when I was Minister for Roads. at that time. I was Minister for Roads, Public Works and Housing.
Right.
And that's when we conceived this project. And we hired a consultancy company from South Africa, which helped us to design this network.
Let's go to the other side of the gym.
Yeah, here, you can sit here. This is for the legs.
Okay.
You can exercise your legs here.
Ah.
And this one here.
Yeah.
For this one here.
Yeah. And a bit of bringing
for your chest.
Yeah, for the chest.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This also here for your arm.
Okay. So that is good.
Okay.
Getting in some of that strength training.
Yes. Exercise these muscles. These muscles. See? Okay. Yes.
All right.
Then this other side is for the legs.
Very nice.
You see?
Yeah. Legs.
This is exercise mat. This one here, I just after I've done all those things, I come to stretch here. And I just right here. I do this.
Nice.
With this. Then I can do this. This. And this.
Yeah.
This. And this also the presses. So I do this. See?
Good stuff.
This.
Yeah, that's a good stretch.
So you see?
I see your feet.
Yes. Yeah. And I've finished everything else.
Okay.
This is a jacuzzi.
Oh, beautiful. There you go.
This is steam. Yeah.
Alright.
Then you can steam.
There you go for steam and
Yes.
gets the detox going as well.
Yes.
Alright.
You can sit here. And there's a lot of heat there.
Okay. Excellent. We should have the name put up here, maybe Raila's Spa. Huh? Rao Fitness and Wellness.
Ida will not agree.
Yeah?
Ida uses it also.
Ida, you. Okay, so we can come up with an acronym.
Uses it more than me.
More than you do. Okay. Thank you very much for that tour.
Okay. Karibuni.
Thank you.
Karibuni.
So it is time to have some breakfast. So this is usually what you'd have.
This is like typical breakfast here. It's got tea, milk.
Yeah.
It's goji.
Uchi.
Okay.
Okay.
And then you have this is the dairy here. Here. Let's take a plate.
Alright.
This is beans. Give you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's enough.
Okay. Put mine here.
Some for you.
And some for me.
That is very good and healthy.
Yeah, this is potatoes. Sweet potato.
Have one.
Also sweet potato. And this is boiled egg. I mean, I usually eat boiled, but the other is fried.
Okay.
This is fried also. Fried is coming.
I'll just have a sausage.
Sausage, okay.
Yes.
There you are.
Thank you.
You also take a sausage. And that's it.
Yes.
You have tea or?
I'll have actually uji.
Okay, you have uji. Maurice, call Ida. Mama, she'll come.
Oh, hi. How are you? I was just about to ask.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Hi.
You have a beautiful home. You have decided to come and
Have breakfast.
with Father. So very
Yeah, I've been waiting for you here. I was actually waiting for you.
Yeah. So how is usually your day like? You wake up at what time?
I'm awake by 4 a.m.
4. Wow. Wow, that's early.
That's early. Yeah.
You
But
what after that?
after that, well, I do my morning devotion. Then I look at the newspaper online.
Internet.
I go straight. I look at what is the newspaper. I do my correspondence until maybe 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Then I'm out to do my other chores.
Okay. Do you have that kind of a practice? Do you do devotion?
Yeah, she does the devotion. Yeah, need to be honest.
You know, this is a habit that I grew up with. Walking
Then-
in the morning, do your devotion.
Then she's on the internet, and at 5,
Yes.
I mentioned to you, I leave her and I go to the gym
Yeah.
to do my, what I already taken it through. Then I come back, shower, and then we have breakfast together.
So is it now just the two of you in the house? The kids all?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's supposed to be the two of us, but more often than not, we are always many.
Yeah.
We are never just the two of us for breakfast. We always have this table full. Yeah.
Full.
Yeah.
Wow.
Whether we are in Nairobi or at home.
So many visitors come, and then we sometimes have our grandchildren
Right.
join us, and sometimes our children come.
Right.
Particularly weekends.
And for you, having many people, you're now used to it as a politician, but I imagine for mom, in terms of sometimes you just want to have your time with your husband, and then there's people all the time. Does it ever just get a little bit too much?
Well, we still create time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still create time to be together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you found a way to balance it all.
It's been like this for many years. So,
By now it's second nature.
in fact, when there are no people wondering what's happening, something must be wrong.
Yeah. Okay. So Honorable Odinga, I'll ask you this when Mama Ida is here. How you met her?
You see, Ida's cousin is married to my cousin.
Okay.
And so it is through that cousin of mine that we met. And he was in town, and in those days I was teaching at the University of Nairobi.
Right.
And Ida was also at the university, but we never did meet in the university. She had a brother who was living in Parklands, no, Pangani Estate.
Right.
And so I went with this cousin of mine to visit her brother, and there she was with her elder sister and her other younger sisters. They were having a family gathering in Pangani,
Right.
and that's where we met for the first time. So
Was it love at first sight?
I don't know whether you call it that.
Did you see her and started plotting in your mind, this one?
This one,
Or was it later, as the days went by, then you started to think this is a good woman?
The people you'll see, and they actually captivate your attention.
Yeah.
And this was one of them. I met her, and somehow she looked different from the others I've been with.
Hot number.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I told my cousin, I want to see that lady again.
And did she agree when you asked her out, say, for the first meet?
We invited her. We were going to another party. Okay. And we invited her to come with our sisters. And she agreed to come. Because maybe she was not coming because of me, but her coming because of the party.
Yeah.
And I would want to say that was the beginning of our relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Mama Ida, when you first saw him, did you think, oh my world?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
It was later that it grew, or how did it happen for you? Your attraction towards the younger, at the time you're both young people. Yes.
I just saw him and I thought it's just a good friend, an ordinary friend. Yeah.
Okay.
But then by and by things changed.
Yeah. By the time you were meeting him, was he involved in politics?
Not at all.
Okay.
In fact, my friends used to make fun of me because when we went to university, we thought we were very careful. Because we were saying that we would not like to marry lawyers, people who are doing BA general, whatnot. We were looking for engineers, doctors, and such like people, because these are people who are most likely would not go into politics, because that's what we thought. So when I met an engineer, they said, yeah, little did we know that one day he'll become a political engineer. That he became. Yeah. So actually, that's what happened.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
So when you started seeing him then engage in politics more and more, were you thinking, oh, I'm not gonna do this, I need to find a way of dealing, or even thought about it just can't happen? Did you?
You know, I don't know even how it happened, and it didn't come at once. It came very gradually and slowly, very, very slowly.
Yeah. Had you known you'd always get into politics, sir? The younger Raila growing up, when I grow up, I want to be this. Did you ever imagine looking at your father, watching him?
You know, how I was brought up, I was brought up in a political family. So politics was just like a normal thing to us, because it was like you're fighting for people's rights. You're fighting, at that time it was for independence, the struggle for independence of the country. And then you come face to face with injustices. You are meted out against the people by the colonial regime at that time. So like first our house used to be like a meeting point for the people in Kisumu. We were living in an estate called Kaloleni, Kisumu, and that became the converging point of the people who were dissatisfied with the colonial regime at the time.
Right.
So some of them, my father's old friends, they would come. My father would talk politics with them, telling them what had happened that day, because those were the days of state of emergency. The Mama had been proscribed, and Oneko, who had been living with us in the same house, had been arrested and was one of the Kapengoria 6. So that was my introduction into politics, because this is a man, we were living together with his children, and all of a sudden he was taken away from us. The wife was there with the children, and my dad was looking after them. But people would now meet in the evenings. My dad would explain to them what had happened in the day, who had been killed or arrested.
Right.
So that was a daily occurrence.
Right.
So that somehow conditions you to think about injustice in the society. And then the police would come into our house and do searches. And usually in those days the colonial police, they are courage, but they were led by Mzungu. See, the rank of inspector were only Wazungus, were only whites. So this white man would come and command them, look into the wardrobe, then look under the bed, look under the bed. So they would search everywhere.
Wow.
And then they would leave. So those were difficult times,
I can imagine. And for you, Mama Ida, when he was in detention especially, talk to us about what that was like for you as a woman, as a mother, as a wife. Your husband is away. I can only imagine the torturous time it would have been.
Of course, that time when he was in detention, you got to remember that I was a young woman. I was in my early 30s. I had 3 children, Fidel, Rosemary, and Junior. And I was a teacher at Kenya High School. And that was what life was. Now, as a young woman, the young family, young children, of course, my concentration was on my children, how they should come up and so forth. So when he suddenly went away into detention, life became very extremely difficult for me, because I had to look after these 3 children, I had to keep my job, and I had to survive. And of course, I had to live on my income, my income as a teacher. So we had to cut down on certain things that we could not afford.
Did the kids understand what was happening?
Well, Fidel did, because Fidel was about 9 years old. Rosemary was 5. Junior did not understand a thing because he was 3 years old. And somehow they didn't understand, but they thought constantly. I think Fidel used to tell them, let's try to be nice to mom.
Let's not give her a hard time.
But that is not all. The problem was not really coming from my children. The problems were coming from the system. Because I was always being watched and being followed. For example, in the morning when I wake up, the first thing I used to do is to prepare the children and then drive them to school. I would have the car towing me to school. Then after that, I go to my work, to school where I was working. In the evening when I go back, again for them it will be the same. So these people were always parked at my gate, watching over me, and it became, in the end we just thought it's a way of life. I can tell you one time, when we moved into a new house, and we had this person sitting right at the veranda of the house. And I asked him, what are you doing here? He said, he wasn't talking. I said, what are you doing at my door? There was no answer. Eventually, I asked him, who sent you here? Then he said, Mkubwa. I didn't know who Mkubwa was. Who is Mkubwa? There was no answer. So I was very annoyed, but we just slept, and this went on and on for months when we were in that house. Eventually we said, this is an extra watchman. We don't need to be annoyed. And in the evening when we are going to bed, we would give him black coffee and say,
what?
Have a good night.
So you found a way to just cope?
Yeah, just find a way to cope with it. So we were there, so as long as we were in that house, he was always there at the veranda.
And was there any communication? Was there?
Yes, there was. Once in 6 months, they would allow the visit. He'll be brought from wherever he was, which varied from place to place, and would meet with him. Most of the time we used to meet either at the traffic headquarters, then this, I think this now, or traffic headquarters, or at Wilson Airport, the police wing, that place, the police wing at Wilson Airport, or the traffic headquarters, which is now I think Nairobi provincial headquarters.
And she's been with you through the good, the bad. How would you describe Mama Ida?
I described her as a very strong person, a strong personality, strong character. Because a number of people, of course, would have surrendered. You know, there are quite a number of people who were with me in detention, whose marriage lives actually floundered when they came out of detention. They couldn't just cope with the stress, the pressures which are being mounted by the system. So you get people like Ida who are very, very strong. I'm not saying this because she's here. Okay. Not at all.
Yeah. She's extraordinary.
I never given to the character of trying to hero worship or laugh, but I think that is a genuine description of her personality.
In your political decisions, do you ever have a conversation, say for example before deciding I'm going to go for the presidency again, do you have a conversation with her?
Yes, we do. We do. So she's my advisor.
Okay. She's your advisor?
Yeah. Okay. Sometimes I can pick up her mind without her knowing why I'm asking.
So you'll ask it what, indirectly?
Sometimes. Yeah.
And then he comes to you, and
sometimes directly. Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So when he comes to you and says, say for example 2013, we are doing this, do you go again? Or do you go, okay, let's do it? What usually would be your response?
Of course, I will not say yes or no, but we'll try to talk about it, to analyze it, to see the consequences, to look at everything, and then look at the best way we can do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'd say you're active in his, behind the scenes in his political career?
Yes.
Yeah. Which is a good thing. Yeah? Have you ever thought of vying, seeking elective office yourself?
Not really like that, because anything I want, I can do it through him. I can ask him. You know, you want to vie because you think you can represent the people better, or you can do a better work. But in our family, and even if you go to the bigger family, the party family, I have people that I talk to. For example, if I want something done, or if I've got an opinion, I will still talk to members of parliament and tell them, don't you think these things should be done like this, like that? And I try to influence the opinion so that they can take it to parliament. They can talk on my behalf. They are my representative. And so is it.
If he ever retires, you're seeing the situation of the Clintons now. Would you then stand up and say, well, let me continue from here?
That one, the situation will dictate.
When you get there.
When we get there.
Okay. And for you and your brother, sir, he's your elder brother, Oburu. You are the more prominent politician. How is your relationship with him then? How do you get to interact? Because you got to inherit from your father, Jaramogi. There are those who would assume it should have worked out in terms of the older one gets it. Talk to us about that.
You see, the thing is that Buru was basically the public servant in the family. Buru worked with the government for many years. He was the provincial planning officer as an economist. And we would say that we didn't want all of us to be in active politics. At that time, my father was himself also in politics. So it is me who actually went into elective politics with my father. And we were elected as members of parliament in 1992. His was basically now a second time, because remember he had been in parliament from 1957 to 69. Then now came back in 92. So I became the person who made history in this country of being in the same parliament at the same time with the father. Okay? And then when my father died, then with the brother, because you had the younger brothers there also. True. But it's rare, nobody has ever been in parliament in this part of the world with the father. Even in the developed world, I think it's very rare.
How was that like? Were you always looking up to your father?
So my father, was like our mentor at that time. He became the leader of the opposition that time. But you see, he had been the leader of opposition in the 60s. And he had trained in the Westminster practice in London, the House of Commons. So he was very conversant with these parliamentary practices more than us. So he's the one who was actually training us.
And now, you are the senior in politics, some would look at it that way in terms of influence to your brother, yet he's the senior in family age. How do you then balance that? Are there ever any issues, or is the relationship perfect?
It's perfect, our relationship. It's flawless. We divide responsibilities. When we are home, he's the leader. He's actually the head of the Odinga home right now. So when visitors come, we're receiving them. When there's any function at home, he is the head, and I am under him. And that is understood. Everybody knows that. But he's the family father. So, but when we are out here, he knows that I am the leader.
Baba.
And he addresses me just like other people. They give me that respect also. So we have actually divided it very well. There's no competition at all.
What makes him the most happy?
I think he's happiest when he's with his family. That's when he's happiest.
That's when he's happiest. And to you, she's happiest when?
She's happiest when I'm around.
Okay.
These days she spends a lot of time back home. But I go like this time she was not supposed to come. I just forced her. I said, no, you have been here for too long. Get out and then cool off and then come back.
And then come back. Okay.
And it will become too rural.
Who's your best friend?
What do you mean by best friend?
The person you're confident, the person you confide in the most, the one you see as there's nothing important in your life that you'd decide on without having that discussion with them. And who also you have fun with?
I mean, I've got friends, social, because social friends, they are family friends, they are political friends. You see, so I've got social friends who are very close to me, whom I consult on a number of issues. When there's for example, when there's a calamity in the house, in the home, like when we lost our son, there are people you think of immediately. Call so-and-so, call so-and-so. See? Then when there's now a political crisis, now there are other people I call. Different people. See, I don't call those other people.
It's not the same, there's not this one person that...
No, there's not this one person.
You've mentioned Fidel and the unfortunate and untimely death. The country stood with you, mourned with you. Very difficult, as no one ever expects to lose, no parent to lose their child, to have to bury their child. Mama Ida, talk to us first. Take us through about how the events of that day unfolded. That call that you received, what were you doing? Who called? What did they say? Walk us through in as far as how the events unfolded.
It happened in the morning. As usual, I'd woken up at 4 a.m., done my devotion, and that particular day, I decided to pray for my children. I devoted the day to pray for my children. So I started praying for my children, and I started praying for Fidel. It is Fidel that I concentrated around 4:30. I was praying for Fidel. Then something clicked in my mind. I said, I'm doing it wrong way, because I should start with him. So I prayed for him. Then I went back again and I prayed for Fidel for a long time, and I prayed for the rest. Then after that, I started reading the newspaper, catching up with the news and so forth. Then as morning came, Rosemary called me. Rosemary, our daughter. Rosemary apparently was at home in Bondo. And then she told me, when she called, she said, Mom, where are you? I said, I'm in the house. We call this place house. Then she asked, I said, I'm home. I said, I'm in the house. Then he said, are you with Dad? I said, yes. Is he there close to you? I said, yes. Then I said, what is it? Then he said, I've just received a call from Luam. And she was crying. And she's saying that Fidel is not breathing. That's the news I got, and that was the end of Rosemary's message. So I just got up. I screamed, and I got up. He asked me what? And I told him Fidel is dead. And I grabbed whatever the cloth that was near me. I put it on, and I went down quickly, got the car keys, and he was from the gym. He had left me as usual. He had gone to the gym and he was back. So he changed off from his gym clothes and we drove to Fidel's place. Then as we were driving out, then I realized, oh, we don't have a driver. And I said, I will drive. We got to the gate, and I told the gate, the security man at the gate to jump in the back seat. He said, do I need to change? Do I need to take my... I said, jump on the back seat and we are going. So he drove to Fidel's house. And when we got to Fidel's house, the ambulance was there, the engine was on, but there was nobody in the engine, in the ambulance. So we got in and we found these people trying. We went upstairs and we found the paramedics from AAR trying to resuscitate him. That time he was still flexible and we thought it would work, but it never did.
And that must have been heartbreaking.
Very hard. Very hard. There's nothing as bad, as painful as watching your child die. It is very, very painful.
Yeah.
Can't compare it to anything else.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's like a thunderbolt. Because when Ida got the news, as she told you, she jumped, made a very loud, funny noise. I knew something was terribly wrong, bad. I was standing there with my gym clothes. So I started changing automatically. And then I asked, what? And she says, Fidel. What has happened to Fidel? He's dead. That's a terrible feeling. Then we went as she has already described. Yeah. We arrived there and there he is. After those attempts, they gave up and said, we can't hear any heartbeat, nothing. I could see their faces. I knew we had lost him. So now just to alert the people. And the first person I thought of was my brother. And he was not answering. You know, the discovery you make in those circumstances is that Sunday mornings are very bad. Very bad for somebody to die Sunday morning. Because most people switch off their phones.
Right.
She was trying, she couldn't get anybody. And I was trying, and I was not getting anybody at all. And until now, I tried my cousins. So my cousin called Joe, not answering. My other sisters, not answering. Then my other political friends around there. See, the next door, the nearest to Fidel's residence is Wetangula. I tried to call him. He's not answering.
Master sounds very lonely.
Yeah, very lonely. Yeah. Then I called my wife's, my sister-in-law. She picks her phone, and she is so pleased that I'm calling her that time in the morning. And she's laughing and Shemeji. And then I tell her, like, listen, is he there? She says, yes. Tell him that Fidel is dead. Then she also now lost herself. Ultimately, I managed to talk to my brother. Then we talked to other people. She got one or two people who then went to the social media.
Yeah, actually what happened, when they announced, the paramedics told us that he was no more, they also told us that we should call family doctor or a doctor to come and certify this. Our family doctor is Dr. Lunya, who is living 2 houses from here. But we had been to Lunya's house the previous night because Lunya had a mishap. He had been shot some days earlier, and we had gone there to say pole to him. So we could not tell this Lunya, Dr. Lunya, that we had a problem. And I tried to think of other doctors, somehow I just went blank. So I turned to my phone and I just said doctor. And then all the doctors, the people who are registered as doctors came. And I got a name of Dr. Gola, who works with the Avenue. He's the CEO of Avenue Hospitals. So I told him, I called him and I said, I'm in crisis, I need a doctor to confirm this. We are in my son's house. And he said, I'm so far, but I'll get a doctor who is closer by to get to you. Meanwhile, I'll come. Then after that, I tried to reach our children. I couldn't get Rosemary. I think she was already on the move. I couldn't get Junior. I couldn't get Winnie. I called Junior's wife, who was in South Coast, and Junior's wife said, oh, I'll try and reach Junior. And we couldn't. Then what I did, I just turned to Twitter and I said, we've lost Fidel.
You were the first person who tweeted?
Yeah. And the first person to pick it up was Robert Alai. And then he called me immediately. And that's how the news went out in Facebook and Twitter.
It must have been difficult. I'm imagining you're making calls. First you're trying to deal with the shock of this happening. Then you're trying to reach all these people. It's, you know, difficult in getting even some of your friends and family members. At that point, do you feel like the world has come to an end? Do you question God? What is going through you?
Definitely, the world came to an end. From there, I think I went blank. I couldn't believe it. And I sat there the whole day, hoping that he was going to wake up. But it never happened.
Yeah.
I just went blank. I can't remember anything else. I don't remember much of what happened.
The hours after that, the days and up to now, how has it been coping for you?
Well, relatives and friends came, and ultimately it was an avalanche, and many people came, as you saw, we were overwhelmed. Really, there was so much demonstration of compassion and friendship that really even surpassed our own imaginations. So it made the load much easier to bear. They took over, and they were in charge of all the arrangements. How to prepare the body and how to bury. And even the government came in handy in this regard. You saw the president came, his deputy, to condole with us. The government offered transportation of the body to Kisumu. But then also our close friends organized a committee, and friends from all over the world sent messages, because many of them even came from the US, from Europe, from the rest of Africa. They all came to help us, and that actually helps to try to bear the load, the pain of losing Fidel. So we laid him to rest, and since that time, people have been coming to say Paule. Like you saw just the other last weekend, Mama was hosting a team of women from all over the country.
There were Orange Women Democrats, about 500 of them.
Wow.
They all came home. It was very nice to be with them.
In 30 counties. The country, you see. People who have continued to come from abroad. Just last weekend I had a friend from Nigeria who had come all the way to come and pay his respects, because he was not able to be there at that time. I was with him here when she was home, and so this is usually a process. In our tradition, there's always there people come. But this word, the Luz called Duogo Eliel. That is, you return to the grave, and that is usually a year later. Okay, yeah.
Mamaida, has it gotten, before we move on, easier for the kids? How are they dealing with it? Would you say it hit the most, the loss of Fidel?
Every one of them. Every one of them, because each one of them was looking up to Fidel for various things, you know. He was very close to everybody in the family. Junior was badly affected, and still he is. Winnie is another one, and Rosemary too. Now, I can see the way they are trying to cope with the thing. Each one of them is trying to see how best they can maybe try to do the things Fidel was doing, or fill the gap, but each one of them is very badly affected.
Yeah, they're trying to keep his memory alive. Honorable Odinga, at the time and up to now, you know, a lot of questions again there's a lot of speculation as to what happened. Do you as a family now know what was the cause of death?
You know, we did appeal to people not to speculate on an issue like this, that they should allow the authorities to carry out investigations so that they can come up with the cause of death. And I'm happy that this has happened, that there's not been too much speculation. In the meantime, the police have been carrying out their investigations. We are told that they are almost through with the investigations. They have not shared it with us, their findings, and we are hoping that this is going to happen soon. Okay?
Yeah.
So we don't want there to be, and until we have been told this is exactly what happened.
Do you intend to share that information with the public once you know?
Of course, it will have to be made public. If whatever it was, if it was poisoning, whatever it is, it was, of course, we would want to know who was responsible. I'm just saying we don't know at the moment what the cause, but it should be made public. I mean, we have public figures, so nothing will be held secret.
Mama, finally to you on that, what do you tell other mothers who have lost their children? You went through that. No two situations are ever the same. But what would you say?
I've been able to meet and share with some mothers who have lost their children, and now I'm in a position I understand what they've gone through, and I try to find out how they cope with them. One of the people that I've shared with is my very good friend in the village, Patricia Radul. Patricia Radul is the mother of Carol Radul. But Patricia's lost, when my children were growing up, even those days when he was away in detention, I was staying with Patricia's son called George. That boy died at the age of 15 in some 20 years, 25 years ago is when the boy died. And you know, looking at Patricia, who has lost two children, one died at the age of 15, one at the age of 30, then I get some strength, because I ask him, how do you cope with this thing? Then she takes me through step by step, show me how they cope. The other friend I've shared with is a friend of mine, but a former student of mine called Jane Okongo, or Jane Olo now, Dr. Jane Olo. She also lost her daughter at the age of 21, and she's also tried to help me to cope. Then the last person, again, not last, but another one I've coped with is the parents of a girl, a university student who was in Garissa, who was shot during that time. Now, their daughter was a second-year student at Garissa University, and when I heard their story, how they're saying that they have 10 children, they're very staunch Catholics, staying very close to the church, and when they told me the story, how their daughter was the 6th child in the family, they thought, now at least they've got somebody who's gone to the university. All need to be brought crumbling down. And I said, at least I had 41 years with Fidel. These people had a shorter time. So I thank God for the life and times of Fidel. But the spirit still lives, and that gives us hope that one day probably we'll meet in heaven. But my other consolation is that when I look at Fidel's son alive, I get a lot of consolation. Yeah. Yesterday he was here. From the door I start screaming my name. Allah is now 1 year and 8 months. But when he comes here, I know he has arrived, because he comes screaming, Nyanya! Yeah, and I look at him and he looks exactly the way Fidel looked when Fidel was that age.
And before we go, 2017, do you think Honorable Raila Odinga should run?
It is not what I think. Actually, what I think and what I want does not matter. It is what the people want. It is what the people want, because he's not going to run to be only my president. He's going to be people's president. So it is the people. I leave it to the people to make that choice.
So this is a beautiful homestead. Who are your neighbors?
Behind me there is the Attorney General, Guido Megai. And then immediate neighbor this side is FT Nyamu.
Okay.
And then after Nyamu, this is my doctor, Dr. Olunya.
So, in terms of political inheritance, do you have an heir apparent from your family?
You see, they're their own masters, and they drive their own agenda, one way or the other. Yeah. Some in business, and also in other social welfare sides. And so they basically make their own decisions. I don't really make decisions for themselves. They make their, for example, they do businesses. Yes. They don't depend on me. Okay. Financially. Yeah. They're all very independent. Yeah. Even Winnie is very independent.
She is.
Yeah.
And there are those who feel maybe she has a knack for politics, that she could go that direction. If she came and told you she wanted to, would you support?
No, I wouldn't object to. I wouldn't stand in anybody's way. Yeah. You really want to give people opportunity to realize their potential.
So President Barack Obama is set to visit the country in July. You had talks with Kerry the other day. Are you excited about this visit?
This is good, better late than never. That is coming. Yeah. However, just for a very short time, because I'm told it's a matter of hours, then it's going to be believing. Yeah, so
this reports that he might go to Kogelo. Do you think he will go?
I think it would be a shame if he didn't go to Kogelo, because that is where his father is buried, and his grandfather. And before that, when he came as a senator, he went there. And when he came, before he even became a senator, he also went there. Right. So one would ask, why is he not going there as a president? Yeah. It's
not very many times you get to spend quality time with Mama Ida. So for example, on Valentine's Day, on her birthday, are you those romantic... You know, we see this very grandiose. They say in your culture, the men there want to go all out. Are you a romantic?
No, I don't think so. But I think I'm very moderate in my taste and so on. But when we have those kind of days, we usually invite our children. Okay. Then we have family gatherings. For example, they will prepare some meals there. Yeah. Eat it out here. Yeah. Picnic. Okay. Or we'll drive somewhere out of town towards Magadi, Naivasha, or towards Machakos. Okay. Those open areas.
All right. Have you ever?
Have a good time.
Yeah, and have a good time. Have you taken a selfie before?
I always do.
You do? Yeah. So we're going to take a selfie now.
With me?
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's, so we're going to turn this, and there we are. So smile. So. Okay. There you go.
This is the place where I sat with Fidel last time. And so we talked about many issues. Including this issue of this guy who had been kidnapped in Eldoret.
Yebe, yes.
Yeah, and then Mom sent somebody to come and tell us that food was ready. We should go and eat. Then I told him, let's go. He said, no, Dad, I'm not eating your food. I have a date with my friends.
Yeah.
So I will have to skip yours.
Yeah.
So I said, fine, then go. And I said bye to him. He walked out. Out there, my staff there, my drivers and security were there. And he gave each one of them money.
He gave them?
5,000 shillings each.
Wow.
And then he left. And that was the last time I saw him.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us.
Okay, Sophie.
It has been great. We appreciate the time, the breakfast, time also with Mom, for you opening up, because many Kenyans, many of your supporters in the country get only to see you in rallies. Today they've seen you have some uji in the gym as well earlier on, and just walking around your compound. So we very much appreciate